So you're probably curious about this thing they call Bitmap. Well, if you guys were following on Twitter and you guys were in Discord, you would have seen this tweet I made on June 19th talking about probably a good idea to grab some Bitcoin real estate, not financial advice. This was the .bitmap. And if you go into the bitmap theory, you can actually read the ordinals thread. But before we get into the details on this video, if you would have minted one of the bitmaps on Ordinals wallet, it probably would have cost you about $1. Each of these bitmaps are currently trading around $6 a piece. It may not seem like much, but let's say you minted 100 or 200 or 1,000. It would have cost you $1,000, but you would be sitting on a 6x at this point. Or let's just call it a 5x, because you need to subtract gas fees and putting them on the marketplace and to sell, yada, yada, yada. But the point is like, in my opinion, this is still the early days of Bitmap. On July 9th, I made a Twitter thread to kind of explain a general TLDR on Bitmap and a little bit of the evolutions that have been taking place. So the best way to think of one of these bitmaps is that it's an individual piece of land in the metaverse that you can own. So with each of these bitmap places, I'll show you them later in this video, is you can actually own that individual plot. And let's say, for example, you want to host your own online store, have a virtual casino, have your own art gallery for your NFTs, whatever, you name it. The best way to think of it is like land, but digital. So everything you can do in the real world, you can now do digitally. And it does kind of reach into some gray areas, just like you can't really operate a casino in some places. However, if you operate it in the metaverse, is it legal? Is it illegal? Now, for me, I really don't think it's a good idea to own a casino. Sure, they can make a lot of money, but it's taking advantage of a weakness a person has, which is gambling. But that's outside of the fact. But basically think of each individual Bitcoin block, which you can see here. Each block, it comes about every 10 minutes. You can see here, this one was 20 minutes ago, 26 minutes ago, 34, 57, 1 hour, 1 hour. On average, it's about every single 10 minutes. And let's go ahead and take a look at this block in particular right here, 798049. We're going to use Bitfeed for this, 798049. And we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what this block looks like. So on this block right here, this is going to be our district. This represents the actual Bitcoin block. So 798049 is an actual bitmap that can be minted on Bitmap. Now, these have all minted out, so you can't mint them. They only come out with a new block every single 10 minutes or whenever they come out. So on average, there's about 144 new bitmaps every single day. That's just going based on the Bitcoin blocks. But going back into this block right here, you can see all these tiny little individual squares, or actually these big ones compared to the others. And these represent the individual transactions that happen on the chain. These are considered parcels. So these would be like your individual lands or cities or houses, whatever you want to call them, inside that actual bitmap. So the bitmap, let's just call it your country, but in reality it's your district. And inside that district, you have these different little cities. You can either rent them to people, sell them to people. That's how you can kind of imagine this bitmap game. And this opens up so many opportunities for the decentralized metaverse, because now it's actually on Bitcoin and you can own a piece of it through Bitmap. Again, these are all minted out, so you have to go on the secondary in order to buy one. They are pretty cheap right now. As you can see here, they're trading around 0.000185 Bitcoin. Now, some people, they dropped the price pretty low. They're probably trying to dump them, but you can see these are already being bought right now. Actually, there's 2 of them still available. If you're watching this, you can go grab them. So on that pricing, that's like $6, $7. Obviously, that fluctuates based on the price of Bitcoin. So now let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of the other districts. We're going to call them districts, but in reality, they are the blocks. This is block 1. Notice how there is only one parcel, which is the transaction. It's because there is only one transaction on here. So this dude is going to own this individual piece of real estate. And there's still a lot of speculation going on. There are some people that are saying like that each individual Satoshis that are in that block would represent like the square footage of the real estate. There's all kinds of speculation still going on around it. This is still being introduced and is developing every single day. But the TLDR is getting an older bitmap or a bitmap that has more land or even one that is shaped like a punk. They could be more rare than others. Here are some examples of what one of the punks would look like. This is block 100 or 100,022. You can see here it kind of looks like a punk. And then you have this one that also kind of looks like a punk, or the Trump punk is what they called this one. And then you even have some that are not as special in that aspect, like aesthetically, but you have some that have historical significance. Like this is block 210,000. Why is that historically significant to Bitcoin? Well, that's the first block after the halvening. And then you even have some that are just historical moments in crypto. An example of this is block 132,749. This was basically the block for the Mt. Gox hack. That was back in the early days of Bitcoin, but basically that has a bit of historical significance. And then you even have some districts for the districts. So like up here, because they're the early bitmap, so if we go on to the bitmap and scroll, it's a little bit slow. But anyways, it's all the way over in the corner of the map, way on the other side. Let's see, it's loading. Yeah, we're ways away. But it's all the way in the corner. And that's basically the Genesis district over there. Then you got like the Pizza district. That's the block where, of course, I mean, come on now. That's where Bitcoin Pizza Day and all kinds of junk. But you can see here you got block 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All these different blocks on here. These are different bitmaps. And they're represented by like 24.bitmap, 23.bitmap. And again, these are all in different districts. So what's also interesting about .bitmap is that it's the most distributed ordinal on Bitcoin. It actually passed OXBT. So there are more holders of the .bitmap than any of the other ordinals collections on Bitcoin. Of course, like I said earlier in this video, this is still in the early stages and it's still being developed. But in my opinion, Bitmap will be one of those integral Bitcoin ordinals that will probably survive into the next bull run, and it could probably turn out to be something. Not financial advice, of course. Now, I'm not saying to go out there and buy some. And if you guys were in the Discord group or following me on Twitter, you would have been able to mint a couple of these. I was able to get a couple of the early ones and actually have a little bit of fun and draw on this. I finally did the drawing after you're able to draw and mint multiples at a time. But before you can even mint multiples, you had to do one at a time. So like you would have to click on one, mint it. It was a long process. So I was like, forget this. And then they got the drawing feature. So I was like, all right, I'll just draw J316, which stands for John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believeth him shall have everlasting life. This inscription actually had a pretty funny story. I was actually doing this with a friend and I was telling them about it and explaining to them how it works. And they looked at me and they're like, bro, you're just throwing away your money. You're wasting your money. So I kind of sat there and I was like, maybe he's right. So I decided to go ahead and weigh the cost and break down a couple of the numbers. I had already clicked the button, so there was no turning back at that point. So the total breakdown on what I had spent on this was, let's just call it about 200,000 sats. But in reality, I only spent about 107,000 sats. Now, of that breakdown, about 100,000 went to Ordinal's wallet. We can kind of call this airdrop brownie points. So in theory, to me at least, it wasn't technically wasted, because if there is an airdrop, which there probably will be, it'll be used as somewhat of brownie points. And the network fee, that actually went to the Bitcoin miners. So this is the one that I would actually consider the cost, which is 107,324 sats. So that was basically the total wasted. Now, what was interesting, the very next day, there's a little app that I use on my phone. I just spend every other day. And you get free Bitcoin on it. Normally, it's like 24 sats, 30 sats, 15 sats. In particular, literally the next day, I received 101,207. It's not a lot. It's like $30 and it was completely free. But the point is like, dude, it was literally the next day. And this is a video recording just showing you that I'm not blowing smoke, man. This is literally a scroll of the history for like the past 2 years. There's only been one other time that I received this amount of sats. And that was like when I first got the app. Every other time, it's been like 38 sats, 43, 32. The point I'm trying to make is like, I don't know, dude. There's something there. This was literally the next day after minting it. And I don't know. It just means something to me. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys would like to join the Discord group, it's the link in the description below. I did decide to limit the quantity of some of the Discord memberships as I am planning on increasing the price. So in the future, it will be a higher rate. Basically, in the Discord group, I share some exclusive content I don't show on YouTube. And you'll also be a part of a small Discord group with a bunch of other DeFi degens just like you. And if you guys want to mint one of the Wisdom One-Liner NFTs, you can check out wisdomol.net and you can mint one of these NFTs here. 50% of the proceeds will go to St. Jude's Hospital. Don't expect to get a monetary premium out of this NFT. This is just a way to decentralize and share the brand with the community. This is a way to support the channel as well as help a couple of kids in need. If you enjoy this type of content, make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, and tell me what you guys think of the video. And I'll be making more content just like this, so make sure you guys stay tuned. And if you want to check out some previous videos, airdrop guides, whatever, check them out in the previous videos. Let's hit you guys with the Wisdom One-Liner. Proverbs chapter 11 verses 27. Whoever seeks good finds favor, but evil comes to the one who searches for it. Be good, be righteous, peace.